Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. It's a great day to be alive, and I am so excited to have you here with me. And it's a great year to be alive too, isn't it? Happy New Year. I want to talk to you about a really important topic, one that has literally transformed my life. Now, before I get into that, I want to first invite you to be a part of the Heal Your Hunger tribe. This is a Facebook group, a private Facebook group that's only for emotional eaters, people who are struggling with food and weight, women who are struggling with food and weight, who really want to transform their relationship with food. Come join me there. Just go to Facebook and look up Heal Your Hunger Tribe and request to join, and we'll get you on board. So join us there. It's a great place for discussion. It's a great place for inspiration, and we really want you to be a part of the tribe. So today I'm going to talk about how to find fulfillment. Now, the reason why this is so important is because emotional eaters, we eat for a number of reasons, but I believe one of the main reasons is because we are disconnected from ourselves and with our heart's desire, and we're going around, living somebody else's life. And this feeling of disconnect and being misaligned with who we really are causes a lot of despair, a lot of angst, a lot of loneliness, and it makes that gaping hole in our soul bigger and bigger and bigger the further we get away from who we really are. And that is, that hole in the soul is what we try to fill with food. So I want to start first with this topic by talking about Glenn Close, who had an incredible acceptance speech when she accepted her Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Movie Drama, and in 2019. And she's such an incredible actress. She's been acting, I think, for 45 years now. Just an incredibly talented actress, one of the best, definitely one of the best. But she accepted this award on account of her role in a movie called The Wife. And if you haven't seen it, I totally recommend it. It was a great movie, powerful movie, really gripping, actually. And what she was in this movie is a wife. Yes, she was a wife. She was the wife. And she plays a very important hand in her husband's career. And that's all I'm going to say. But she basically bypasses her own life to help build her husband's life, which is a very common story. So in her acceptance speech, I'm going to read you what she wrote verbatim. She said, I'm thinking of my mom, who really sublimated herself to my father her whole life, and in her 80s said to me, I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. And it was so not right. I feel what I've learned through this experience, she's talking about the movie that she was in, she says that women, we are nurturers. That's what's expected of us. We have our children, we have our husbands, if we're lucky enough, or our partners, whoever, but we have to find personal fulfillment. We have to follow our dreams. We have to say, I can do that, and I should be allowed to do that. And with that, she got a standing ovation from every woman in the entire hall for the Golden Globes. So she just really, she's such an eloquent woman, but she really drove it home in such a beautiful, wonderful way. Not a hard, a hard driving feminist way, just a gentle, heartfelt, this is what happens to women, and I just implore you, don't let it happen to you. And it really meant a lot to me personally because, I've worked with my husband for 30 years, and I've grown in so many ways through my relationship with him. I'm not going to go into the, the whole thing here now, maybe another podcast. But I will say it's been a journey. It has absolutely been a journey. If anybody's been in a long-term relationship, it is a journey, and it's not always an easy one. But through this journey, I myself had to come to that place of finding personal fulfillment and not sublimating myself for my husband's work, which is profound, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. But within that environment, I had to carve out some space where I really felt completely fulfilled, and Heal Your Hunger is that space. So, I have evolved in my being in a way that I am now the owner and founder and leader of Heal Your Hunger and the Heal Your Hunger method, completely inspired by my husband's work. So I give him credit for all that he's done to teach me and mentor me and inspire me. So we still work very closely together and inspire each other in so many ways. And he's been incredibly supportive of me finding my way and finding personal fulfillment. And thank God for that. Thank God I have a husband who's so supportive. I'm very, very grateful for him. But the point is, I still had to take that, that leap, that step of exploring what was right for me. And I'll tell you what happened for me and how I did that is I came to a point where I knew I needed something else. I was not fulfilled and I needed something else. And I wasn't sure what to do. We'd worked side by side for so many years doing, I essentially helped promote his work and helped him in his work, but it was going flat for me, and I came to a point where I couldn't do it anymore, and I didn't know what to do, and so what happened is I quit. Like I just said, I can't do this anymore, and he didn't really know what to think of that, and I didn't know what to think of it either. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I didn't have any juice left. I had no juice left. So what I did for the next year is I pursued what I knew I did want to do, or something that was a yen for me for many years, and that was art. I had been an art major in college, an art history major, but I loved doing practical art as well. And I ended up taking some encaustic painting classes at a nearby college at Otis College of Design, or something like that. It's here. It's a very prestigious art school here in Los Angeles, and so I started taking courses there in this particular kind of art, and I did it for a year, and it was wonderful, so wonderful. But in that time, I was kind of in this space of not knowing what my next move was going to be. And if you've ever found yourself in that space, it's kind of daunting. It's like you've closed one door and the other door hasn't opened, and you're trying something that might be the next door, but it might not be. And for me, art was not the next door, although I enjoyed it and I loved exploring that part of me. At the end of 3 or so classes, maybe 4 classes, I thought, this is not my calling. I love it. I hope to continue to do it, but it is not God's mission for me. This is not what God has put me on this planet to do. And I'm so glad that I gave myself the time to learn that, to really explore myself and this part of me, and then to come to the conclusion that, that's not, what I'm meant to be doing. And what happened after that is I came back around to teaching people about emotional eating. I really felt like the little hiatus I had taken really informed my next move, which was to get back to helping emotional eaters, solely emotional eaters, not just people who are addicted in every way, which is what my husband does, but specifically to teach and educate and inspire and lead people who are emotional eaters, lead them to freedom in the online space. And so that's where Heal Your Hunger was reborn. And I started writing my book, and I started this podcast, The Heal Your Hunger Show, and the rest is history. But the point is, I am now completely on my dime. I'm completely aligned with my mission in life, and because of that, I feel personally fulfilled. I feel so fulfilled, and it's wonderful. So, I really want to encourage you to find your purpose and passion. As emotional eaters, we do easily get swept into people pleasing others, doing for others, serving others. We're helpers by nature. We're nurturers, as Glenn Close said. All women are nurturers by nature. Really, at least most of us. And so it's easy to get swept up into doing for others and forgetting our own needs and wants and desires. And so at some point, I think, especially in the emotional eater's life, it becomes imperative that we find ourselves and find what makes us tick and learn how to serve ourselves and get our needs met
in a way that we are personally fulfilled. Because if we don't, we will overeat. And that's the truth. If we don't, that's what overeating is about in many ways. We're in a job that doesn't fulfill us and we long for fulfilling work. And so that gap, that space, that pain, we anesthetize with food. We spend time in a friendship that doesn't energize us. It depletes our energy, but we keep doing it because we think we should, or we feel obligated to the other person. We let them sap our energy, and what do we do to refuel our energy? We eat. Perhaps we have a partner who doesn't support us finding our mission or our highest and best purpose in life. That it creates pain. That creates a sense of, anger, of course, resentment, and longing for, a deeper love than somebody who doesn't see us and support us. And that leads us to food. Perhaps we're hanging out with people who don't feel good to be around. Like we think we should hang out with this particular crowd, but we feel like shit when we're around them. They're not nice people, or they're not complimentary, or they're cynical, or they don't nurture our highest and best good, and they don't feel good to be around. When that's the case, we're gonna have that emptiness, and we're gonna fill it with food. Trying to be someone we're not. In general, emotional eaters, we tend to have lost ourselves, and we don't know who we are, and we're eating to just keep up the facade of the person we've decided we should be, based on other people's opinions, based on what we think will get us the most accolades, or the most love, based on what we think, is going to get us noticed or keep us invisible. There's so many different motives behind why we choose the paths that we choose, but so often they aren't aligned with our true selves. Maybe we're dating, the wrong gender, and we're being driven by fear of what people think of us. But whatever it is, we're not accepting who we are, and we're not being ourselves. And that creates that terrible pain, that fear, and that guilt that we overeat over. We're trying to be normal around food when we're not. That's going to create pain for us. Trying to be normal eaters, not going to happen if you're an emotional eater. Trying to fit into groups that we don't fit in with. So many different ways that as emotional eaters, we are not true to ourselves. And that is what creates that dissonance, that misalignment that causes us to really hate ourselves, and punish ourselves with food. The best saying, I think, that sums it up is, I was spending money I didn't have to buy things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. It's an old saying, but I think it's pretty apt, right? I mean, that's what we end up doing in our lives. It's like, what am I doing? Why am I buying this? Like, I don't even like this, or I don't have the money for this. Why am I doing this? Is it just to impress people? So we're out there, I know for myself, I had become somebody that was so far removed from who I really was, because I just got swept up in what other people thought I should be doing, or what I thought they thought. Sometimes they could have cared less what I was doing, but I had this story in my mind about what they wanted from me, what my parents wanted from me, and so we get swept away in that, and before you know it, we're so far away from ourselves. And that's really where the overeating comes in. We use food to enable us to keep living a lie. We use food to medicate that pain of living the lie. We stay sedated so we don't feel the pain of being out of alignment. We cover up that still small voice inside that's urging us to pay attention and to hear it. We just like cover it up with food, with carbs and sugar, and before you know it, we have no idea who we are or what that voice is telling us. So if we expect to overcome emotional eating, we have to begin to honor that voice. We must begin to listen to the desires of our heart. This is so important. I can't urge this enough. And why not make this year about that? About finding your true purpose in life. And nobody can do that for us. I mean, nobody's going to sit us down and say, look, you're not following your heart. It's time to follow your heart. I can say it, here, I'm in your ear, in this podcast, but at the end of the day, this is a deeply personal journey. I know it was for me. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's scary. Stepping out and claiming what we need and going after what we need. That takes courage. It takes gut. It takes grit. And only we can do that. Nobody can do that for us. And And I have to say that, finding our purpose isn't necessarily going to stop our overeating, okay? It's one piece of the puzzle, and in fact, the sooner you address your emotional eating, head on, the sooner you're going to hear that still small voice inside. When we're medicating with food, we don't know who we are. We don't know what's inside. We are pretending. Food enables us to pretend. When we're numb, we don't know what the real desires of our heart really are. So, the best thing you can do is begin your journey of overcoming emotional eating, and that will help this whole new you unfold. It'll make it so natural. And frankly, if you were to go through my 10 Weeks to Freedom program, or if you've already been through it, you know that this is a program of self-discovery, where you are supported in finding your voice and finding who you really are. It's not about food. It's really about that personal journey of coming back to yourself, of returning to love, as Marianne Williamson says, in that important book. So, it's really important to know that stopping emotional eating is a great place to begin to know who you are. Take off that layer of food, that layer of fat, and discover who's underneath there, what your real desires are, what you really like. If you remember Julia Roberts in Runaway Bride, she had, whoever she was with, really determined what kind of eggs she liked. She'd have the eggs of the man she was with, his favorite eggs. And, when she finally was without a man, she cooked eggs every which way so she could determine what she actually liked. Like, what kind of eggs do I actually prefer? She didn't know. It's a great example of what I'm talking about. So what is it for you? What steps do you need to take to start to get more in touch and in tune? Glenn Close knew she wanted to be an actress from the her earliest time of watching movies with her grandmother as a child. She looked at that screen and thought, I can do this. It's often best to start with yourself as a child. Look back and in your childhood and see, what was it that brought you joy? Like, what did you love doing? What was it you did all day long until your mother, called you in for dinner? What was it that you wanted to do forever? And what was that? And what was the nature of that? I know for myself, I did a lot of acting. I belonged to an acting group as a kid called Actoons, and it was, we would act and sing, and I loved that. And I did actually apply to acting schools, for college, but I ended up not going to acting school. I'm grateful I didn't pursue acting, but isn't it funny that now I have a podcast where I'm performing in a way, and I do videos and I teach and I'm basically expressing myself and trying to bring about healing in other people. And to me, that's kind of a way of performing and a way of serving in a very extroverted way, similar to acting. But there are other things I love to do as a child. I love to organize people. I love to lead. I love to get groups together and do fun things together, similar to my retreats, my Heal Your Hunger retreats. So, and my courses. So if you look back in your childhood, what was it you loved to do? What are some of the talents that you naturally possessed that brought you joy, that were just easy for you? What were those things? I believe if you look back at your childhood, you'll find clues as to what the desires of your heart really are, and so I just encourage you to start there. Start as a child. What were you blissed out about? What made your heart sing? It's a great way to begin to discover yourself. It's 2019 and it's time to discover, what makes you tick. It's time to put the emphasis on you and to really give yourself that time and that space to explore and to learn. And it may take some trial and error. You may take a few courses in some different things and realize, that doesn't really float my boat. And that's good. Taking those art classes got me closer, got me back to what was my true calling. But if I hadn't taken those art classes, I might never have gotten back there. So just follow your heart. So important. I encourage you to write, to talk, to pray. some of these things are incredible tools for helping you to find yourself. But the number one thing you can do to find yourself is to address and heal emotional eating so that you uncover, discover, and discard the things that aren't really you. So you start living a more authentic life, and you get closer and closer and closer to your true essence and the person God made you to be. So I hope this has been helpful. I really want to encourage you to take this beautiful and wonderful journey. It is so beautiful. I'm so grateful that God guided me back to emotional eating and helping people heal their hunger. So I encourage you to take that journey as well. And if you haven't joined us in the Heal Your Hunger Tribe, make sure to do that and let us support you in that way to find your true self. Thank you so much. I love you so, so much, and I can't wait to be with you in the next show. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit HealYourHunger.com.